But Miles is really, I think, known as the biggest truth teller I've met coming out of China to really expose the Chinese Communist Party. This whole fiasco this week on the Voice of America and Amanda Bennett with the president was talking about Michael Pack, my buddy, my friend, my colleague who has been held up in this confirmation hearing. The whole controversy around Voice of America is because of Amanda Bennett, who's a useful idiot for the Chinese Communist Party, pulled the live interview with Miles Guo back in April of 2017 on the Mandarin service. And when Miles Guo was speaking truth to power, he was talking about HNA. He was talking about the largest financial corporation in the world at the time, which Miles Guo was calling out on live radio and saying it was a money laundering operation and an influence peddling operation for the Chinese Communist Party, and particularly Vice Premier Wan Xishan. It's the way he bribed Americans, bribed people throughout the world. This was a total false front, and it was essentially owned by two American not-for-profits registered in New York City. And, of course, they called Miles Guo a liar, Miles Guo this, Miles Guo that. And guess what? Over time, we found out 100% everything he said was true. It was owned by two not-for-profits. Wan Xishan had control of it. It was a scam. It's now in bankruptcy. It's now in receivership by the Chinese government. So he called out all the American financiers, all the American investment banks, everybody that worked on this. He was 100% true. Also, the chairman and CEO of the organization fell off of a wall in Provence, in France, about 6 months later, and Miles Guo sent an investigation team said, hey, this was not an accident. This happened because of this was a scam. This was a front for the CCP, and he was able to expose that. The entire controversy on HNA he exposed. The entire controversy around Huawei he exposed. If you look at his track record, it's been amazing. And what's most amazing is I came to this story. People say, hey, Bannon, how'd you start doing Pandemic in late January? I said, hey, it's because I was doing my broadcast every year for Lunar New Year. I do with Miles Guo and his team at G News and G Media. I was up in New York, and we did 3 days up in mid-January, and all they're talking about is Wuhan. All they're talking about is this virus coming out of Wuhan. And Miles Guo had actually broadcast on the 31st of December of 2019. His first broadcast was about Wuhan and about this virus. The exact same day as we now know that the Republic of China, the Free Chinese in Taiwan, their CDC notified, and there's an email, notified the World Health Organization. There's incontrovertible proof that there is human-to-human transmission on a SARS-like virus in central China, in Hubei province in Wuhan. That exact day, Miles Guo took to the air, and he broadcast for the world that there was a SARS outbreak. And we now know that Dr. Li, the great hero and martyr of Wuhan, was at the time telling his colleagues. The Taiwanese, the Free Chinese in Taiwan were telling the World Health Organization, and Miles Guo was blasting it out to the world. So the world knew this. So, Miles, thank you very much for joining us today on War Room Pandemic, Descent into Hell Part 2, President Xi's death sentence to Wuhan. I want to thank you for coming on the show, sir.
Good morning, America, Sir Steve, everybody. I'm really proud of joining your War Room Pandemic show. I'm really appreciate you give all the America about us with Blue Movement the detailed information. I'm really painful and very worried. All the American, now in the pandemic is very, very dangerous. Still, I think now America is very, very dangerous. I think America and the world in the disaster time. Some governments use the quarantine, use stop work, keep the people in the home. This cannot solve the pandemic. I think we need, do something. And number one important is we need the CCP, give the answer, give the truth, share American all the information. We are only can find out the truth. We can find out the cure. We can solve this disaster time. Also, I don't believe all the American know the intelligence is all the tools from CCP. That's my worry. Fundamentally, sir, you know, we are in 2019 December, before the 14th, we talk this Wuhan, the virus, coronavirus with you. We are together, it's the broadcast, it's the December and the 2019. is the December 31. But we talk this virus with before 15 days. Then is June, and the first I'm broadcast talk the Wuhan the Corona is the China PLA is man-made. It's from the people of Atlanta, and this the biological weapon. This is the kind people to people. Then I talk with you every day, sir. So January 23, root of the law foundation, you and the Calbase is the board meetings. We together broadcast and Lude, we are all the, is the partner together, friend, talk this. This is very dangerous for the world, also America. I believe this biological weapon quickly can come to America. America need action. Then very badly, after a few hours, Xi Jinping and China CCP is look down the Hubei province. Then is after nearly, 10 days, 20 days, American is the make announce is the travel ban. But this big help America. But this something very bad happened. So also January, I talk to you, sir. We are together talk. Number one, disaster city is New York. Now everything's happening here. Okay, why? Because we know the inside intelligence. We know every information is beside. We are friends. We inside the PLA CCP. They give the intelligence. Besides this, we talk this. We not is gossip. We take a full responsibility. So look before this the 3 months, we with the blue movement, all the people talk everything is happen. If January 15, we are Lude is in the front in the YouTube. Also today join in the YouTube. The Dr. Bo, Ali, and the Jin Guo, they always talk. This is a biological weapon. This is the people to people. This is not from animal. Okay. Also quickly come to America because we are now many stories since 2016. CCP, PLA talk. We are ready. We have the force. It's the biological weapon. We can use a small cost, can take down America, can win America. We are ready. War use a biological weapon to take down America. 2016 in the China CCP, CCTV, in the Army TV, CCTV 7. So we all know the truth. Also in the PLA, in the central government, in the Wuhan P4 Atlanta, they give us load of truth, information, intelligence. This is why, sir, we talk to America, give warning. This is very dangerous. This is a biological weapon. I'm really shocked. Even now, American, the lot of government people talk, oh, this is from the Atlanta. This is no doubt. But that this is by accident called leaked. This is not by leakage, not by accident leakage. Sir, this is they are created the biological weapon. They want to win America, take down America. They want to take American economy down and want American koto go to Xi Jinping, Wang Qishan. Okay, they need China CCP help. That's the weapon. This is the war. We are not talk big. We talk everything's by. We are inside the people, give the intelligence. We have the friends, sir. You meeting with some guys. We are guys from top people. They give 2,000 picture. 2,000 picture give us all this secret document. We everything talk as from here, sir. You see this the one, right? We are, CCP is the January 12th sent to NIH, Gene Bank, NIH, Gene's Bank. They talk about the Wuhan coronavirus, the gene, the sequence. Then it's the January at the 14th, they take it back, they change again. January 17th, they change again 3 times, but it is totally different. American government, CIA, FBI, very easy can go to the NIH Gene Bank find out this one. Why they take it back? Totally different.
Miles, hang on for 1 second. We got to take a commercial break. We're going to come back. We want you to hold. We're going to come right back to you, okay? Miles Guo,
Okay.
on his strong belief that what we're dealing with is much, much more dangerous than just a natural virus. We're going to take a short break. Go to #WarRoomPandemic. We're going to subtitle Miles is also in the afternoon. Make sure you get it better here. We're going to return in just a second. It is Descent into Hell 2. President Xi's death sentenced into Wuhan. Bill Gertz up next right after Miles Guo, and then a whole raft of Chinese. I want to thank you for joining in today. Another special Descent into Hell Part 2, President Xi's death sentence to Wuhan. You know, we've been pushing from day one that the CCP knew about human-to-human transmission. They knew about it early. They knew about it at least in December, and they withheld that information. They particularly withheld that information as they came here to sign a trade deal. They withheld that information from the WHO. Didn't press hard enough, but the WHO became their useful idiot in this. They withheld this information when they started to vacuum up throughout the world in Europe and Australia and the United States. 2 billion masks. They bought all the PPE. That's why they hold the PPE today. They hold the American government hostage on the personal protective equipment. And we know for a fact that they have withheld the information about human-to-human transmission. Now, what is now going on, and our guest in a little while, Bill Gertz, is going to talk about, he was on our first show and got lit up by all the mainstream media about talking about investigating. It was incumbent upon the Chinese Communist Party to give the information out about these, the P2 lab and the P4 lab in Wuhan, which were major research centers, and exactly what went on. It's incumbent upon them. And Bill Gertz was the first in that story. We had Senator Tom Cotton. Of course, the Washington Post immediately lit us up, some sort of conspiracy wing nuts. We said, absolutely not. All we're doing is saying they have to come forward with that information. Josh Rogan, who's one of the best sourced people in this town, in the national security area and in China, had the most significant column or article of the week this week that talked about cables that came from the local consulate, the U.S. consulate in Wuhan, and the embassy in Beijing that went back to the State Department in 2000, I think it was in 15, 16, 17, talking about problems with the Wuhan, with the P4 lab, areas of concern about their management of process of research, particularly on the coronavirus. And Susan Thornton, remember her? Susan Thornton, she was the head of the East Asia under Obama at the time. Okay, she's gone now. Another CCP sympathizer. We're going to find out the whole chain of title, where those things went. Why did it not go up to the highest level? Why did President Obama not see this? Why was that information suppressed? Who inside the United States government was not taking action on those labs at the time? It's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. All the collaborators, everybody that worked with them, everybody looked the other way on Wall Street in corporate America, in the U.S. government. And that's all going to come out way before the Nuremberg trials. We're going to have the Nuremberg trials in Wuhan. And the jury's going to be the citizens of Wuhan, and they're going to stand in for mankind. And they're going to hold the fate of the Chinese Communist Party in their hands. They're going to be held accountable for what they've done. Now, the thing about Miles Guo, we're going to get Miles. Miles is going to put up all this information he's talking about. Miles is actually at another level. We're saying, hey, we know this human-to-human transmission, and they withheld that information. And withholding that information, they allowed the world, Wuhan, to be destroyed and the world to be destroyed. Even worse, if it came from their lack of management, if this is a biological Chernobyl because of their incompetence and their suppression of information, or which Bill Gertz and others are saying and have to be investigated. We now know the intelligence agencies are investigating that and looking into that. We're going to get to all that. Miles Guo, obviously, being Miles Guo, takes it to another level. He says, hey, you Americans too naive, too unsophisticated. You don't see what's going on, that this is actually part of their weapons program. And people in the intelligence agencies know that the Chinese have a biological weapons program. There's not one guy going to call me out on that. Everybody knows that. Only nation on earth that has one. Only nation on earth that has one. The intelligence agencies know this. They have a biological weapons plan. Everybody knows it. Open secret among the people that follow this stuff. So I want to return now to Miles Guo. So, Miles, and you're going to put all this information. Remember, Miles Guo was up on December 31st. He was broadcasting out, hey, there's a problem. You got a SARS breakout. You got a SARS-type breakout in Wuhan, and it has human-to-human transmission. On the same day that the Free Chinese and the Republic of Taiwan went to the World Health Organization and told them. And Southampton University has a study up that says that the World Health Organization and the Chinese Communist Party, if they had taken action on that day, on December 31st of 2019, if the facts that Miles Guo and the CDC of Taiwan had been acted upon, 95% of the deaths would have been avoided, 95% of the economic carnage. So when you're sitting there and you know relatives that have died, you have no job, you're looking for handouts, you're in a bread line, right? Remember, the people responsible for this are not the governors of the individual states, or not President Trump, and we shouldn't be each other's throats. We got to get through this. We have to come together to see who the enemy is. The enemy of the Chinese people, the enemy of the people of the United States, the enemy of mankind is the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing. Now I want to bring back Miles Guo. So Miles, how confident were you, and why did the CCP at least even suppress when you came out on the 31st of December of 2019? And others started talking about it. Why did they still suppress the information? Why did they suppress the information that would have saved the world?
Good question, sir. Thank you very much. Everybody knows, sir, I'm from the China inside. I'm number one outside Chinese CCP enemy, because I know as very, very secret, it's inside Central Committee Intelligence. They want me talk to America, they talk to the world. 3 years ago, I in the DC have the press conference. I talked to America with Bill Gates, Sir Bill Gates. I say, America and the West world, you need to prepare. It's block time is coming in. So I know it's a lot about inside high level and the ambitions. They have the program called 3F, where America make in terminal America, kill America. They want leading the world. This is not a killing. This is truth. You look at the 3 years. What has happened? One built one road. They built the army's base everywhere in the world is more than 100. Why they send to the missile go to Africa, go to Middle East? So 15 miles launch, the missile. But where to go? Only one goal, America. So this is why it's the Wuhan coronavirus. I disagree you one, sir. You see, they are buy out the mask because they worry people to people, get the virus. No, they make man-made. This is the Wuhan lantern. It's the P4. It's the coronavirus. They want to use the biological weapon, take down America, and take down the American economies. They worry you have the mask, can rescue you are Americans. So before they notice people to people, it's a transmission. They take everything, hold in China. They like American to die. They don't want to use the right itself. But I'm really shocked, sir. If CCP buy all the world mask, PPE, but American government never talk to American. Who buy this mask? Who buy the PPE? Say minority, this is all the PPE. This is the PPE, not the BC people buy, not the Miles Guo buy, not the you buy. It's PLA intelligent buy. Why you too early? It's the 2019. October, December, you buy everything, N95 and the mask, all the PPE, keep in the China, PLA's area control, not normal people control. Why no one American people ask the question? Why you don't, this is from the trees, from the natural, the coronavirus. Okay, the trees are very, very powerful, can form the chicken, can form the hamburger, can form the steak, then put it together, they call coronavirus. This is from the natural, then from the Zhoushan bat. That's totally lie. But even this, why you buy all the masks, all the PPE by PLA and the CCP government? They want to kill Americans second hand again. That's the truth. Okay, sir. So this is why we are 2019, 31 with plural, with you, Roosevelt, December 31. We talk, wow, this is a bad weapon. Americans need to prepare. This is war. They want to kill America. Do you remember before American talk to the trade deal? They say, give me 90 days. Give me 200 days. Give me 3 months. They just put you wrong. They prepare biological weapon. They think, I kill you something, your economy down. You no power, no authority can talk to me about the say no U.S. trade deal. They have the plan. Now everything's happened. But now, even more dangerous 1 month ago in the America, sir. I want you seriously think this. I take full responsibility. They call super carry and with the no super carrier, no symptoms. This guy, this all the people, I don't think it's from natural. I think the CCP control put the Karina with the party, go to New York, go to Los Angeles. They send give you Karina virus again. They want to keep America this transmission high because American economy collapse. CCP want you koto back to CCP. Xi Jinping, Wang Qishan. They want a good deal. Follow CCP. Listen to China government. That's Americans really need to know truth. America no solution can solve the coronavirus. Quarantine in the home by PPE? No way, sir. Only one. Find out the truth. Find the fundamental reason. Where from? Get a cure. Can solve the disaster time. America now, even dangerous 1 month ago. Remember Miles Guo today talked. Even risk big dangerous 1 month ago. Third Steve, Americans.
Miles, we've got to bounce, but I want to thank you. We're going to play this. We'll get it also translated subtitles to make sure everybody can hear it. I want to thank you, and we're going to hook up today on G News. You're going to put all the information, all your documentation up there about their weapons program. I want to thank you very much for joining us on War Room Pandemic, Descent into Hell. Thank you, sir. Short commercial break. We're going to return with Bill Gertz and Dan David about Wuhan in the biological weapons program in a moment.
Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. We're live on Capitol Hill. It's Saturday, the 18th of April, the year of our Lord 2020. Also want to thank Michael Patrick Leahy and the entire team at Minnesota Sun, the Tennessee Star, the Ohio Star, and the Minnesota Star. These great papers are getting the truth out every day, and they're also live streaming us as they did last Saturday on Descent into Hell 2, President Xi's death sentence to Wuhan. We just had Miles Guo on, the always controversial Miles Guo, and he didn't disappoint this morning. I want to bring on now Bill Gertz from the Washington Times, one of the most dialed in. I think he and Josh Rogan are the two best sourced in the national security apparatus and in China. Bill, it's not often, Bill, that we have you on that actually someone's on that's even hotter as far as. But Miles Guo really went off in the CCP and the PLA. But he's got street cred on this. One, he's been right on every big issue he's talked about, whether it's Huawei, whether it's H&A, and he was the one on the 31st of December of 2019. Right around the time that the Republic of China, the Free Chinese in Taiwan, the Republic of China notified the World Health Organization that there was a SARS-like outbreak, a virus outbreak in Hubei province in Wuhan that had human-to-human transmission. There was absolute proof of this, incontrovertible, right? And notified it. That would have saved everybody if the corrupt World Health Organization had acted upon it. Miles Guo was broadcasting that day and saying the exact same thing. Right, because he's dialed in. He's got tremendous sources, as you know, and he's the number one enemy of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, Bill, I said, Miles went off in this weapons program. What we've said, and just to make sure people know this, so we don't get accused of being wingnuts, because this is very serious, because the Chinese Communist Party is at war with their people and at war with the United States of America and all humankind. We have said from day one, Bill Gertz was on our first show, that we know this human-to-human transmission, and they knew it was human-to-human transmission early on, and they suppressed that information. That's all going to come out. And that was on January 25th. And guess what? It's all come out that they knew it was human-to-human transmission. And now we know that they went out, as Miles said, the PLA went throughout the world and vacuumed up all of the protective equipment, which is the key to keep the doctors and nurses safe, but for the testing and also when you're in ICU units. Okay, so all the dead doctors and nurses in Italy, the blood's on their hands. Bill Gertz said something else the very first show, and he was lit up by the mainstream media. He said, hey, it's incumbent upon the Chinese Communist Party to come forward about these labs they have in Wuhan, the CDC lab, a P2 lab, and a P4 lab, That's a very serious, the highest level you can get. They have to come forward with this information. And now we got Miles Gross saying, hey, that's all going to be proven it came out of there. But more importantly, you're going to see it just wasn't. He's saying you're chasing the wrong thing. It's not they're working on a vaccine for SARS. This is part of their weapons program. So, Bill, the first thing I want to ask you before we get into the details of what you've been analyzing, it's a pretty open secret in the intelligence community, et cetera, that the Chinese Communist Party and PLA have lied for years. They actually have, unlike the other nations of the world that signed the treaty, they actually have a biological weapons program. Do they not, sir?
Yeah, Steve, the annual State Department compliance report, the unclassified executive summary addresses this. The Chinese signed up to the Biological Weapons Convention in 1984, and they never gave up their offensive biological weapons program. That's basically what the intelligence says. And the other thing you need to understand, in China, unlike the United States, there's no distinction between civilian and military. The factories that make refrigerators make intercontinental ballistic missiles, and that extends to these research laboratories in Wuhan. They're dual use in the sense that they don't do just civilian research to find vaccines. There is an element of these laboratories working on the covert biological weapons program. That needs to come out. The Chinese government needs to come clean on that as part of the future investigation into how the Communist Party made the world sick.
Well, I want to go back in time, back to the very first episode. We're on episode, I think, 126 now. The very first episode, months ago, back in January, when you came on, walk people through. At the time, you were saying, hey, it's incumbent upon the Chinese Communist Party and the PLA to come forward with all this information. We're not going to really know the sequencing. We're not really going to know anything that's going on until they've opened up. Walk us through what you were asking for then and where we stand today with these investigations and what's going on that, quite frankly, have exonerated Bill Gertz.
Yeah, on January 26th, I was the first to report that the virus that's now wreaking havoc around the world originated in a Chinese laboratory. It was attacked mercilessly. Facebook labeled it fake news. We had to push back and tell them there's nothing fake about it. It's real news. And basically, what we did was we said, you have to look at these laboratories. Now, the problem is the U.S. scientific community, a lot of the top virology experts are in bed with the top of these Chinese scientists, like Shi Zhengli, the Batwoman of Wuhan. We know that for a fact because we've read the reports that have come out from American virologists who did work there on bat coronaviruses. That's the other thing. China has produced scientific papers revealing that it has done incredibly dangerous work on viruses, including manufacturing new bat viruses as part of their research. They call it a chimeric virus. And so this research needs to be exposed. Now, China, in March last month, cracked down on the publication of all papers related to the origin of this new coronavirus. And the reason they're doing that is because those scientific papers are now coming to light and revealing what is known about these secret research that they've done on these deadly bat pathogens.
Well, tell me, so where do we think we stand? We now know from Fox News, and the president said in the Rose Garden the other day, there's actually investigations going on. We know from General Milley kind of what he's been talking about. The intelligence services now have actual investigations going on. What do you know about that, and where do we stand with those?
Yeah, basically, the President Trump yesterday talked about, finally, this was his first real comments on it. He said it has to do with the bat. But guess what? There's no bats near Wuhan, so it obviously means that this is coming from a laboratory. There are two theories. Again, a theory is a scientific way to explain what happened. In the intelligence business, they have the similar thing. They're looking at two main things, both of which point to the laboratory. The first is that somehow this virus jumped from an animal to a human. First for the bat, either infected an animal at this market, and then the wet market where they have blood and all these things and innards of animals infected a person, and then it spread. But the real picture, I reported on it a couple of weeks ago. The sourcing is still a little sketchy, but a blogger uncovered the fact that one researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology became infected due to a lab accident. She died, and then at her funeral, that's where the infection spread to the rest of the people of Wuhan. They're looking at this person as patient zero. Now, the laboratory came out and said, no, she's not patient zero, but her picture mysteriously disappeared from the Wuhan laboratory website.
Hang on, I want to go Scientific American. The Scientific, we're going to have this on our timeline. It's going to be the definitive timeline. Scientific American had a quote from this from the senior researcher
Yes.
at the time in the last week of December, correct?
It wasn't the last week of December. I think it came out on March 11th.
On March 11th, but referred back to that
But
time.
it referred back to her being called in by the Wuhan Central Hospital on the 30th of December to take a look at what they thought was a new coronavirus. And her first reaction, even in Scientific American, was, oh, my God, could this have come from our lab?
Oh,
Now-
my God, could this have come from my lab? And, hey, this is Scientific American. It's not the Daily Caller or Breitbart. It's Scientific American, right?
And then what's even more interesting, now they did have bats in that lab. We know that, Bill. They were testing them for feces or whatever, testing them all for, they said that individuals in the lab were getting sprayed with blood and whatever from these bats. But what was also very interesting is she later came back and said, oh, but I went through all 400, every single coronavirus. I compared every single one, I swear, on my entire life.
Yeah.
That I didn't have anything to do with this.
After they pulled her fingernails out, right,
Right.
the CCP. So, Bill, where do we stand today? I want to ask you also this ABC report that they're not backing off of, that the National Medical Intelligence Unit, which I think is at Fort Detrick, the reports up to DIA, has an assessment sometime in November or December, we don't know when, that talked about this issue. Where does that stand, and where do we actually stand with, do you think, with this intelligence investigation?
Well, I think right now, I think one of the reasons that the reports this week did not really get legs, as we say in the news business, is because of the sourcing. Again, Fox was quoting sources, not even saying government sources. Their hope was they asked Trump, and Trump punted. He wouldn't talk about it, although yesterday he did. So we need something on the record, and this will probably come from Congress. Congress will force some type of release of what the intelligence community knows because it's out there. It's pretty far along. I think Pompeo also gave some good comments yesterday. He did a number of interviews on Hugh Hewitt and Fox Business, where he talked about the Chinese government originally stating that the Wuhan Institute of Virology may have been a source for this virus. But again, as for the November timeline, I think that's disinformation. I think the Chinese are trying to shift the timeline from December to November as part of their campaign to blame the U.S. Army. Remember, there were those military sporting games in Wuhan in October. And the Chinese have been trying to say that that's where the United States spread the virus to China. It's a total lie and disinformation and an attempt to cover up their complicity in really a crime against humanity that we're seeing unfolding today.
Bill, we only got a minute left. What do you think ought to be, what should we be doing right now? Because the mainstream media is not picking this up. Really, the American people are not focused. I saw an article in Politico, MAGA's blaming, this governor, the World Health Organization. That's all fine. We got to remove Tedros out of there. We got to replace him with Dr. Ben Carson. That's obvious. I don't care what Lady Gaga says he's a superstar. No, he's not a superstar. He's corrupt. And we're not saying shut down World Health Organization. We're saying get rid of the corrupt leadership and replace it with Dr. Ben Carson. So where do you think this goes, and how can people get involved, and what has to happen out of Congress and the administration?
Well, I think, again, the story's got to keep going. I've been shocked at the mainstream media's reluctance to cover this story. And they're literally echoing Chinese propaganda. And we know what the Chinese propaganda is. First, it was the wet market. Then it was the U.S. government. Now they're calling for a scientific investigation. Well, where's the scientific investigation? Let's see one. They're not doing anything. It's a total cover-up. But the U.S. media, there was a report that the U.S. government has briefed the New York Times on this, and yet the New York Times hasn't written anything. So all the mainstream media are waiting for the New York Times to report on this. So let's see what happens with that. If they have the information, there should be a report. If not, you got to question what's going on. Are they trying to pull their punches on China to get their bureau back in there?
Bill, real quickly, how can people get access to your columns, to your writings, and to your Twitter feed? You're one of the best sources. You and Josh Rogan are the two best source guys around.
Yeah, WashingtonTimes.com, WashTimes.com, or BillGertzFile.com is my website, and my Twitter handle is @BillGertz.
Bill, you're an American patriot, a great hero, and you're going to be remembered as the spoke truth to power when the country and the world needed it. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, brother. Okay, what a guy. And I tell you, you can't imagine the heat he gets from the Chinese Communist Party, from all the fellow travelers, useful idiots and running dogs of the Chinese Communist Party. But Bill Gertz is relentless. He's not going to back off. Okay, as usual on these shows, we're backed up. We're going to get to, we've got Dan David coming on next. We're going to take a short commercial break. This is Descent into Hell Part 2, President Xi's death sentence to Wuhan. We're going to come back with Dan David about Wuhan in just a moment. In these specials that we're doing, Descent into Hell, we're trying to show you how the citizens of China, the Chinese people, Lao Beijing, old 100 names, who are essentially the deplorables of China, how they live under the totalitarian dictatorship of the CCP. Because guess what? If we don't stop the CCP now, you're going to live under that totalitarian dictatorship. Yes, you're here at the headquarters of CCP woke. That is War Room Pandemic, okay? We got to get woke. I'm tired of seeing stories that were at each other's throat. It's time to come together like we came together in 1941, okay? We need to come together. The enemy is the Chinese Communist Party. They're the enemy of the Chinese people. They're the enemy of the United States of America. They are the enemy of mankind. They must be confronted because they're confronting you. You may not have any interest in the CCP, but it's got an interest in you. It's taken your money. It's taken your pension fund. It's taken your health. It's got you holed up in your house on a beautiful spring day. It doesn't allow you to have Passover like you used to have it. It doesn't allow you in 2,000 years have Easter Sunday morning like you've had it since our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ arose from the grave. You didn't do it first time in 2,000 years, right? Roman emperors couldn't do it. Wars couldn't do it. Bubonic plague couldn't do it. Chinese Communist Party did it. And it's right there. It's in broad daylight. This is not a hard one, folks. Not hard. Not a lot of dots connect. Pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Now I want to bring in, we got some updates to talk about. Hashtag War Room Pandemic. You guys are lit today. You're lighting us up. Give us some listener feedback.
One of the listeners just posted, I mean, I think people are getting shocked as they understand more about the Communist Party of China because literally our mainstream media just continues to paint them as if they're Disney characters. But one of our listeners is getting woke said, big mistake by the CCP. Holding supply chains hostage will only strengthen the resolve of the American people to decouple from China. Massive blunder by Xi Jinping. And she's right. Absolutely correct.
100%.
We were talking in the break, some of the things that Bill Gertz said about their kind of propaganda effort to shift blame for this disaster for planet Earth to anyone other than the Communist Party. And I've been following the People's Daily, which is obviously the Communist Party rag, published in English.
Must read it every day.
And almost every single day there are new cases of outbreaks in China, and almost every single day it's an American of Chinese extraction who brought the virus back from America.
And we're going to have many of these American citizens of Chinese descent whose families are in China in the next hour, but they're blaming them now. Oh, it's all coming from America. It's the Americans. It's the Americans did this to us. That's what they're telling people in China.
And then speaking about xenophobia, there's also a new narrative inside China that all the people who are bringing the disease to China are Americans, and secondarily people of African descent. And so it's so bad right now, the prejudice that these people are suffering, that even the U.S. consulate put out.
No, we don't have time. But the U.S. consulate's got a thing. We'll have it up on the website about their going after the people of Africa. The CCP will do anything. They're the lowest. These guys are criminals and they're gangsters. There's also a story in the South China Morning Post. The former head of Sinopec, which is the Standard Oil, is the Exxon of China.
Yes.
Okay, he's saying, hey, the Americans are going to war with you. You got to be ready.
Very aggressive.
They're trying to build up the nationalists. They're trying to get the people worked up. That's why we do this show, so that all the Chinese people understand that we're united for your freedom. It's not about you. We understand that you're oppressed by a group of gangsters that have used you, abused you, and now kill you with this virus. Okay, I want to turn now to, by the way, 15 freedom fighters, including Jimmy Lai. We had his partner, Mark Simon, on this show. Mark Simon's the gentleman who also helps Cardinal Zen in Hong Kong. 15 leading freedom fighters in Hong Kong were arrested 4 hours ago. arrested by the Chinese Communist Party in Hong Kong. Folks, you don't think this is coming? This is coming, okay? Go back and read the newspapers. Go back and go online and read the New York Times leading up to December 7th, 1941. It's coming, okay? They're at war with us. They're at information war. They're at cyber war, and they're at economic war. They laid it all out 20 years ago. The Chinese Communist Party is coming in. Now I want to turn to Dan David. Dan is the founder of Wolfpack Research that researches Chinese companies. He's also the protagonist of the great film China Hustle. He knows China like the back of his hand. Got a little feedback there, producer Vish. I want to get Dan. Come on, tell us about Wuhan. You have many colleagues, many friends in Wuhan. Tell us what it's like in Wuhan.
Well, today it's getting a little bit better, but during the pandemic, it was a disaster. You couldn't leave your home. Under threat of arrest, people were dying left and right. They are totally lying about how many people died in Wuhan. The conservative number is 40 to 50,000. The people there think it's more like 80,000. The incinerators are running 24 hours a day. Urns being stacked up outside because there's no more room inside the building. And entire families gone. That's what it's like in Wuhan.
What's it like to live under, for your knowledge of the people you know that live there? What's it like day to day during this? And we got about a minute and a half left. During this pandemic, what was it like every day for a citizen to live there?
You could not leave your home. You had to come out at an appointed time. Food would be delivered to you if you got food in a bag, and you got what they gave you. And as far as the medicine goes, you didn't get medicine. It was Eastern traditional medicine, as if that's going to help. I asked all my investigators on the ground. I have a network on the ground of surreptitious investigations there, or as we call it here in the United States, just investigations. And what it was like there is you didn't get any kind of antibiotics. You didn't get any viral medicine. If you died, you died. Asking them what their treatment was, hydroxychloroquine or Z-Pack, they'd never heard of it. None of them got it.
Hey, Dan, I'm going to ask you, can you stay over for the next segment? I got a couple more questions I want to ask you. We're going to have to jam it in because we've got so many people in the second half. But if you could stay over, I want to bring you back and just ask you about the current status in China. So that's Dan David from Wolfpack Research. He's one of the ones that goes in and really drills down on these Chinese Communist Party companies, many of them Potemkin villages, right? People don't understand why, hey, I put my money in a company, next day it's worth zero, right? All the cash is going out the back door. That's how the Chinese Communist Party runs their capital markets. A little different deal than the United States. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. Descent into Hell Part 2, President Xi's death sentence to Wuhan. Next hour, we're going to have Chinese nationals talking to us about Wuhan, also American citizens, naturalized Americans, talking to us what it's like to live under the reign of Xi Jinping. All next.